Hello, Sagittarius. How is everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Again, we're going to look at Sagittarius, Sun, Rising, and Moon here, and all the messages coming through for the next 6 to 8 weeks. What we're also going to be looking at today is some messages about clarity, because as I was tuning into your totem today, I was shown a diamond. And a diamond has a lot of lovely sort of spiritual connotations, and we'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to put my little fuzzy assistant Apollo down so he can continue with dream time. But let me talk a little bit about the structure as I get started here so that you know what's coming through. I always like to begin here with the channeled messages here in front of me. And the channeled messages come through as I start to meditate in the morning and combine dream messages, the research that I'm doing about what I see here, and then also just whatever comes through in the act of actually writing. And I'll deliver that to you. Basically, it's me working with spirit and bringing through real-time messages. So it's probably my favorite part as an intuitive. Then I will go into the cards, which is what we're all familiar with. And the cards really allow me to dig a little deeper and help you see things that will break down any sort of barriers in front of you, but also hopefully light a path. I'm here not to tell you what to do, but to show you different sort of pathways that you can take and really empower you. So I work from a place of information, empowerment. I'm also very inquisitive, so I will keep asking and digging until we kind of get the clarity that we need. And that's what that center portion is going to give us when we look at the Celtic Cross. I do not specifically frame it around relationships. I know that a lot of readers do, but that is, you're going to miss a lot if you do that. Relationships and your person, that's only like one small facet of your life, which we'll be looking at with a diamond. So if you only focus on that facet, you're missing like, I don't know, 15 other parts that could be happening. So we look at it holistically here, and that's what we'll be doing with that portion. Then I'll go a little deeper into the expanded forecast, which will give you insight into health, wealth, love, and destiny, the things that I know everybody cares about. That's going to be the main portion of that reading. I'll pull a card or I'll summarize the big idea, which is sort of like how this all comes together. And then after that, we will go into the next portion where we look at things like blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks allow us to really identify a key opportunity and a potential block, which will allow you to navigate around them and to embrace one and maybe kind of like avoid another. Then I usually throw a question out to you so that you can vote on something that you care about. So I'll ask some questions based on the trends that I'm seeing, and you can vote on that. Today, I'm probably going to let you vote on which deck of cards I use as well. We'll see how I feel as we get closer to that. So I will throw a couple of polls out there to you while we're doing this because I value your feedback. Then I will usually be looking at a viewer's, in addition to the viewer's choice, I'll do a reader's choice pool and look at something that I think we need to focus on, even if you don't want to, because that's important as well. The final portion is a meditation, and then I always follow it up with a card that I'll pull based on a silent question that you meditate on. So I don't answer questions live. A lot of times people will throw out questions here. This is not Q&A, but you can save that question for the very end. And that is everything today in a nutshell. I want to welcome some of the new members here. I see we just have a brand new one and some people upgraded the membership. Thank you so much. I've given you some new ways if you want to give back a little bit more. It's optional. Right now, all membership tiers have the same things. It's just a chance like Patreon to give a little more if you'd like to. So thank you for those of you that have done that. I'll say thank you to people like Rebecca and everyone else at the very end. You can also show support through super stickers and super chat. So let me just give you some insights on how to do all that, and then let's get started because we do have a lot to talk about today. So a free way to show support is to like and subscribe. The way that you can send a super sticker or join is through this little button here by the emojis, and that is completely optional, but like I said, it helps me with new cards. And if you're watching on replay, you can click the thanks button. All of those are ways to give back. All of the messages that I write, usually within 2 days of broadcast, I will put up on social media. So today in the afternoon, I'll be looking at yesterday's and today's and posting the stickies so that you can see them. And my social media handle is Nicholas Ashbaugh almost everywhere, and Ashbaugh on Twitter. I've pinned that link in the upper corner so you don't have to worry about scribbling it down. You can go straight to my website. Just a reminder, when we're looking at social media, the only way to talk in real time with me is here. A lot of times people will try to pretend to be me on social media and send you messages and promise things and ask for things, and those are imposters. So only way to know if it's me is because I'm talking to you and we're interacting live here on YouTube on my official channel. Sometimes I do Instagram lives as well, but unless I'm talking and it's me coming out at you, disregard those sorts of imposters that are out there. So I just like to remind everyone about that from time to time. All right, let's get now into our spirit totem for today, which is a diamond. And I'm going to talk about how this came to me, but let's look at some images of diamonds first, because a lot of different thoughts came to me as I was thinking about this really powerful totem. Not the least of which is that it's an ancient sort of material. When I was doing the research, it can be several millions of years, like sometimes three quarter of a billion years, like 750 million years, up to 3 billion years that it takes to form these lovely little crystals. But when you look at them without being polished, they're kind of not that interesting. They're just a rock, right? They're kind of a clear rock, but there's nothing that fantastic about them until we start to see that they are polished. So even if you look at the top there, as you start to see the polishing, that's when you get all those facets. That's when the price tag goes up there. I was looking at those price tags thinking that's crazy. And it is, and we're going to talk about it because the value is not just because of their age. They're actually a quite common mineral here on the earth. They're controlled, however, and that's something that we're going to look at, our themes of control. But yeah, naturally forming mineral in the earth through high pressure and heat, basically making this lovely little thing. You know, I'm not going to read the chapter from my book, but it is in there. I had this sort of analogy when I wrote my novel about reincarnation, and there was a kind of troubled soul in the book that I wrote about this character called Bjorn, which is Swedish for bear. But this character kind of had a rough life, and the supernatural being that represented death was talking to the main character and saying sort of one of the main characters, actually, I think it was Gabriel's grandfather, but he was looking at this diamond that was on his ring. And he said that person's soul is a lot like that diamond. You know, through lifetimes, we usually go through pressure tests, and these pressure tests can make us stronger. Each lifetime we get a little clearer, a little less cloudy, a little bit more like the diamond. And hopefully through the process of reincarnation, we eventually get to that sort of crystalline, clear place. But sometimes things, you know, go awry, there's a fracture, whatever, and kind of the process starts again. So I kind of like that. And there was an analogy in my book, and it reminded me of that this morning. You know, and I didn't even get into this. I've talked about diamonds and stars before, but if the star doesn't go supernova, like ours is going to be a red giant at the end of its phase because it's a middle sort of size star. So its outer layers are going to dissipate. Then we'll have at the very end a white dwarf. And then as the white dwarf cools, there's diamond-like material in the center. So that's that sort of child rhyme about twinkle, twinkle, little star, like a diamond in the sky sort of thing. That is exactly what happens to some stars. They just become a cold rock at the end of their journey, but a big diamond as well, or a lot of diamonds within it. So as we look at that, something that brilliant actually ends its life in a very crystalline form as well. So there is something, there's a nice sort of analogy there that at the end of all of our days, hopefully we'll kind of be as clear and without sort of any sort of cloudiness or imperfections as that sort of like diamond in the sky. All right, let's get back into, I took a little side journey here. I want to go to what I wrote down here. So how did I get to the diamond? In my dreams, and there were a lot of them last night, I was shown an abandoned house. Each room in the house or each part of the house represented a memory. Some of these memories or these parts of your life were kind of forgotten. Some were shut off on purpose. But amidst all of this rubble, I saw a little shiny gem, something that was important. And it wasn't just a trinket, it was a diamond. And that shows us, just like the long epistle that I was just saying before this, that many times we go through difficult moments in our life. I believe that the house was actually a metaphor for the tower. And after the tower, there was a diamond. So we have to kind of like go through a construction and a destruction to find the core of what's important. If any of you watched that Disney movie a few years ago, like 2015, I think it came out. It was a Pixar movie, but it was called Inside Out. It's the one with the memories, right? There's the little girl that's kind of going through It's just a pivotal part of childhood, I think. And a lot of things going on with the parents and all this stuff. But she used to be happy and she's not as happy anymore. But we find the importance of sadness because sadness gives context to things. And the character of sadness actually, a couple points in the movie, becomes like the savior. And it kind of, you can also like laugh through your tears. And that was one of her important discoveries, is that, sad moments in our life it's complicated. So there used to be this, like in the movie, there were these, it could be happy, sad, angry, frustrated, or whatever. But one of the key takeaways is, why can't you have a mix of it? You could be happy and sad. So there may be a way to look back at a moment in your life where you can be that complicated new core memory where it's a little bit of both. And that core memory might be a diamond for you. It's not that sort of multicolored thing. So that sort of came to me as well as we were looking through the rubble of your memories. I also think there's some cleaning up to do, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay. Yeah. That movie, I challenge you not to cry. I won't spoil. There's some special stuff in that movie. I don't watch a lot of animated stuff, but that one's worth it. You'll cry. It's a good show, and it's a good show about emotions and dealing with like the inner child. And if you do have children, I don't, but if you have children, that's something to kind of like look at and understand them a little bit more, what they're going through. All right. Obviously, a diamond we use often in modern times to kind of like represent a promise, like marriage contract. So when I kind of like abstract that, I really want you to focus on keeping your promises and contracts and holding other people accountable to them as well. So you want to be careful when you casually say something, oh yeah, I'll check in with you later, or yeah, let's get together, I'll text you, and you don't do that. It's a casual sort of thing, and in the whole cosmic sense, it's not a big deal. But if you're not keeping those contracts, then it starts to kind of like eat away at your overall kind of ability to show up authentically, right? So if you're not going to hang out, just say, it was great to see you. That's it. So good to see you. I'm happy that we ran into each other. Reach out if you need anything or something like that. Put the ball in their court and see if they want to do it. And then if they say, sure, I'll call them, they don't. Okay, well, that was their contract and they can choose to keep it or not. But we sometimes make these casual conversational sort of contracts. And I would say be more mindful of what you are committing to, because we always want to be able to follow through, right? That's going to help you. If you follow through on your contracts, you're more likely to have the ability to call in people that will do the same. So be mindful of that. If there are people in your life that are in a sort of Seven of Swords moment where they are either purposefully or just kind of like consistently saying that they're going to do it, but they don't do it, then you want to be mindful of that and probably start to kind of like snip that out as well. Okay. I think that also this diamond could represent for you a valuable idea, a proposal, or a pitch. This doesn't have to be a marriage proposal. This could just be, again, someone offering or you offering something up that is of value. In this case, I want you to also look at protecting your intellectual property. So if you are someone who invents things, make sure you get that patent. If you're going to give an unsolicited idea, make sure that you read the policies on someone's website, or if you're attending some sort of a seminar and you're throwing something out there and there's a big audience, just realize that then it becomes sort of like public domain. So if you have a good idea and this is something that you want to develop, protect it, nurture it, and get the proper sort of like, the proper protections in place, legal protections as needed. This can also be long-term partnerships. Again, marriage or work or something else. It could even be deciding to move in with somebody. Are you both ready for the commitment? Because one of the things with the diamond is to be clear, to be authentic, and to be absolutely just really, really honest that this is what you want. Okay? I think that's going to be key. Now let's talk about something I would be remiss not to kind of discuss this, but diamonds are not particularly rare. Their supply is actually limited by a corporation whose name I'm not really going to go into here because it doesn't matter. But what this is going to help us with is to understand limited resources. That's all I'm going to focus on that. And then also making sure that what someone tells you is it's really, the value is not inflated, because this corporation inflates the value. The way that they inflate it is by limiting the overall supply. For those of you that have a business background, you're going to know a lot more about this than I do, or financial, but I did take some business and finance classes. And there's a supply and demand curve. And basically, if you have a limited supply but a high demand, the price goes up. If you have like a lot of supply and no demand, the price is going to go down. And basically, the rarer or the harder it is to get things, and the more people want it, the more you can charge, because people are willing to pay for that. So here's an interesting thing. Your time is actually a resource. You can limit it. You can decide how valuable it's worth. You get to control it. Unlike some weird corporation out there, you're the one that's in control of your time, energy, your love, your money, all of that. So I want you to fight for your real value and make sure that you're getting that in your wages, in the way that people are treating you, like with respect, and also with equal rights overall. You are worth it. This is something where it's not inflated. A lot of times people will make you, it's almost like gaslighting you, and they make you believe you're not worth it. But our time on this planet is finite. And I've used this in the past as a discussion point, but, for any of you that have, had a relative or a friend who have kind of lived and died with a terminal illness, you realize that as they go through that, your life, there's no guarantees, right? We're not going to worry about it, but it's a reminder that, we all have a start and a stop point. Let's really make sure every day there's something that's happening that makes you feel like you're either moving the needle closer toward your goal, your path, or that you are somehow feeling really good about the day's work, right? That there was just something really fulfilling about it, because not everyone is reaching up for some gold or golden sort of like trophy or anything like that. Sometimes it's just a feeling of like, I made a difference today. So I feel like as long as you make a difference, either in impacting your life, others' lives, or maybe again, if there is a long-term goal or a spiritual sort of path that you're on, that you're living that and working toward that, you're rich, right? So if you're not getting something there, then you're sort of like not spending that resource in the way that you should. When you start to see your experiences and your time as valuable, that increases your self-worth. And then you can convey why it's important to other people to respect that or to pay for that. So I want you to really fight for what's important, both in how you spend your time and also how people exchange goods and services for your time. Basically wages or whatever you're doing. So just making sure that you're getting what you deserve. All right. Because I mentioned the fact that there's an inflated price with this particular resource, ethics comes into play. My undergraduate was journalism, and I don't know if they still teach it, but one of my favorite classes was ethics. I took an ethics class. And one of the things that my dad taught me was actually just being very ethical. He didn't inflate things. He didn't lie. And he was like honest to a fault. Sometimes he would tell you things you didn't want to hear, but ethics are important. So I want you to make sure that others treat and value you and act ethically. So if there's anything that's wrong, these are the scales of justice coming in and saying it's important for you to do right, but also for others to do right by you. And if that's not happening, it's totally within your rights and spiritual energy right now to fight for what's right for you. Okay. You are ancient. Your soul is ancient. Sometimes we feel like we're a babe in the woods, in this lifetime. But the truth is you've had at least a few incarnations, most of us. For me, I can kind of trace it all the way back to Etruria, and sometimes even at like the beginning of this planet, it feels like. So many, 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 many lifetimes. Diamonds represent almost the age of the Earth, not quite. 1 to 3 billion years, as I was saying. Some are a little bit less than a billion, but most are around that age frame. That's amazing. So if you have a sparkly diamond that your person bought you or you bought yourself because you don't need someone else to buy you something shiny, then that's a really cool thing to kind of meditate on. That's a really powerful gem. You don't need a diamond though. You can use any sort of crystal that you might have. This one, I forget the name of this one, but this one kind of reminds me of that. So you can just use a quartz crystal. This is not a quartz one. I'll get the name later on this, but I think it's actually called like a Herkimer diamond or something like that, but it's not a real diamond. It's just a different type of crystal. But what I like about this is all the different facets on this, which is cool. And what you can look at, especially if you kind of pull something into the sunlight. I also have like, they're not that expensive. You can get a Swarovski crystal, a little ball, and you can basically put it in your window. These little mirror ball type things only cost maybe like 20 bucks, 30 bucks. They're crystal, they're not a mirror ball, but they have all these facets, and they basically take the light and push it in all these different directions. And what this can do is remind you that you have this capacity to really reach out in as many sort of directions as you can. You're not limited to one thing at a time. So try to understand that you have ancient knowledge, even though this is maybe a singular lifetime where you may not feel like you've been able to explore everything. You have all these facets to you. If you can meditate, look at that, look at something, look at a crystal. I want you to kind of go into your soul. We'll do this in the meditation today and say, I know I've done something like this before. Show me this lifetime what I can do to avoid past mistakes. So karmically, if you can lean into that 1 to 3 billion old, knowledge that you probably have in the store of your soul, you can do better and start to pay attention to the signs and symbols that come through, because you're ancient. You have this capacity you came to this planet this lifetime to resolve things, and that's what you're going to do. And once you do that, then you clear the karma. All right. Diamonds are crystallized carbon structures formed under pressure. That's like the scientific demystified version of what they are. What this means for you is that you could find your inner strength during a high pressure situation, like a pressure cooker sort of thing, where you're being pushed, where you're really toiling, like a 9 of Wands thing, where you're like, I'm not going to give up, but this is really hard. You exit that looking better because people see, wow, you really had what it takes to get through that. You had more maybe than I thought you could do, or more than I thought you could handle. And now I see you differently. So you can actually come through a difficult situation if you keep your cool, if you keep your calm, and you sort of, you can really show up as being the person that, you always knew you were. Maybe you'll even surprise yourself, but I see you coming out of a high pressure situation looking better. Diamonds, if they're not mined, they typically rise to the surface through things like a volcanic or tectonic force, anything where the earth is sort of like pushing things up, like even an earthquake or something like that. But volcanic was what, when I was doing my research, it looked like was the most common thing. So think of this also in the wake of a tower situation. As things fall apart, when you look at all of the sort of composite pieces and how everything fit together, you may find a better order. You may find that sometimes when you leave a relationship, when you're let go from a job, made redundant or fired or quit on your own volition, or when you have to step away from a situation, you might need to move out from a roommate sort of bad situation, or you need to just move in general. The moving, the releasing, and the letting go, this is the sort of like dusty, chaotic moment. But when that's done, when the dust clears, then you see a clear path. Then you sort of see yourself as the diamond in the rough, and you can decide how to polish and cut your own sort of like facets. But I think this is what I see, is that pressure you're going to show your strength during a pressure situation. And if everyone else is falling apart, but you keep it together, you'll be okay. And even if things fall apart, there's something better for you. There's a very much a phoenix rising from the ashes energy coming through right now. So this is your time. Even if it's been a crazy year, a crazy month, a crazy week, crazy day, whatever. I feel like things are on the precipice of getting better. Also, by believing that, you'll call that in. When you start to sort of always think, oh, another day, how am I going to do this? And then you're actually calling in the clouds. We want to clear the clouds. You want to be the sun. You want to start to pull things into order. You have hidden potentials. We all do. Some of us just have to decide how, if, and when to show them. Oftentimes people don't ask, do you want to do this? Who can do this? Does someone have skills here? They just make assumptions and make assignments. This is true in families as much as it is in jobs and friend situations. So go against type. Typecasting exists within movies and entertainment. So when someone plays against their typecast, a lot of times you'll see like a comedic actor do a dramatic role. And it's amazing because I was just talking about like sadness and happiness put together can make this really interesting contrast. So if you know how to laugh, but you can make someone cry too, and you put the two together, it's like amazing. So I want you to go counter to type, whatever people expect. Oh, you're the one that always does all the work. You're the one that always leads. You're the one that always, listens. You're the one that always does the talking or the writing or the designing. Do something that you don't normally do, but you can do or want to do, and let someone else sit in that typecast a little bit and see how it feels. Try on something new, like clothing. I feel that if it's truly a passion and a skill that you have, you can show off and you can break some of those because diamonds are strong, so you can break through almost any boundary that you want to and come out looking good and feeling good as well. All right, because at the end, you are multifaceted. We are not one sort of thing and that's it. There are so many different sides. So somebody in your life probably told you this is what you should do or you're best at this. That does not mean you're limited to that. When I was a little kid, I didn't think I was going to grow up and read cards and talk on webcams because they didn't exist. Webcams didn't exist when I was a kid. So these are things to kind of think about. You never know where the future is going to take you, but if you give it a shot, give it a chance, you might be pleasantly surprised. So be open to that happy surprise and see what happens for you, okay? I want you to be mindful of contractual agreements. Look for holes in a contract. And by holes, I'm not talking literally. I'm talking about loopholes, things that allow for someone else to maybe do something different than what's stated. So make sure that the language in a contract is very much buttoned down. It's not something that can be manipulated by you or by someone else. So make sure that the contract is agreeable, amenable, it's equal, that there's no sort of loose language which could be interpreted in such a way that maybe something ends up happening that you don't like. Ask questions and keep asking. I'm very persistent. Again, that journalistic training helped me from ethics to being inquisitive, to following up to researching. There's a lot of things where I won't give up. So sometimes when people try to ignore me, I just keep asking the same questions or keep asking them in a different way, keep pushing. I'll surprise them with research. So I'm not someone that gets easily sort of pushed to the side, and you can do that too. So the first time you ask a question, you may not get the answer. You might have to keep restating it and you might have to keep asking it. And if it's someone that sees you all the time, just keep asking them. Say, where are we at on this? Have you made any progress? Because this, if it's a problem that's not going to go away, they need to kind of be held accountable. So this is a time to really make sure that you get the clarity that you need, and there's no dumb questions. The only thing that would happen later is you would maybe be angry at yourself for not speaking up. So if you listen to the weekend collective reading that I did on Sunday, I talked about like a frog in the throat. There was this metaphor that Spirit was showing me, and I had to cough as I was waking up because I felt like I had a frog in my throat. So sometimes we just need to get out whatever's there to make sure that we're not being held back. All right. Create new memories. This was one thing that I was seeing as well. Don't live in the past. There might be one little thing that you need to focus on, but what we're really focusing now from here on out is the future, not the rear view mirror. Always looking toward the road signs, toward the horizon. What is it that I'm trying to create? What are the signs telling me as I'm going along this highway of life, right? And where should I go? Is this a congested place? Is there a place where I can go where it's a better journey for me? So create a new path, create new journey, create new memories. We don't want to be living in the past or in the rear view mirror. Finally, because we want to really focus on giving, we're looking at the December forecast here. So even though, we've still got a week or so, a couple weeks left in this month, this is really December that we're focusing on. So before we move on to a new year, or before you move on to something new in your life, I want you to quote unquote clean up. Imagine that this is a house that you're going to sell, or an apartment that you're going to leave, or a car that you're selling. I don't care. Whenever you give something to someone else or sell it to someone else, you want to give it to them in the way that hopefully you received it when you got it, or in a really nice working order. No loose ends. Close the door. Close all the chapters so that you can move forward unencumbered by the anchors. That was also something we talked about on the weekend, was how to free yourself from anchors. So like a boat that has an anchor, sometimes that stuff can just weigh you down. So as uncomfortable as it may be, as tricky as it may be to navigate, if you can find a way to have a face-to-face, eye-to-eye contact with somebody and say, this is what's on my mind. This is what needs to happen. Let's make this work. Really sort of clear it out. Then you're going to have a better year ahead. So let's let go of the old. Let's close the old chapters. Let's forgive, and let's focus on the road ahead. And that's a nice segue to get into the next part of the reading. So let me stack up all of these cards. Welcome to anyone who just joined. Perfect timing. Thank you so much for everybody who joined today. All the nice comments that I see here on the side. At the very end, I'll address them. And thank you for those. But in advance, I do see you, and I appreciate your help too. If, again, you want to look at these, you can go to my pinned comments. I have a link to all my social media platforms. And by this evening, I'll make sure that I get these up so that you can look at the recaps. And that'll be on Facebook, Instagram, the community tab here on YouTube, and also on Twitter. Okay, so I'm going to have you vote today on the cards. I occasionally do that just because I had a lot of research and a lot of things to put together for the diamonds. So today I'm going to pull out some new decks, some old decks, some choices here. So let's see. Let's see. We're going to pull out some. Let's see. Where did I put the Raven deck? I have this one. I'm going to let you vote on that one too once I find it. I put it to the side here. All right. So I have this lovely Van Gogh style deck here. I have this kind of symbolic deck here. Let's see. I have one that's got some silhouettes in it. And I'm going to try to find the Raven one if I can see where I put it. Sometimes when I'm doing all the readings, these things get kind of put to the side. So give me a second. It depends on how quickly I can find it. If not, I'm going to replace that with something else. That's Spirit telling me we need something else to... Oh, here we go. I found it. Okay. Got this one. And let's see. I think that's all I can do. If I can do a fifth, I will. But I'm pretty sure I have to stop it at 4. So let's stick with 4 for today. And I'll pull some different ones for the next reading that I do on Wednesday. All right, so let me just put up a quick poll for you so that you can vote on these. And I'll name the decks if I can remember them all. All right, so let's see. We're going to do a viewer's choice poll where you get to choose the deck that I'm using today. So viewer's choice. The first deck is Prisma Visions. The next deck is... I believe it is the, I have to look at the name. I should have these all memorized, but I'm doing it on the fly today. Yeah, this is Field Tarot. So the Field Tarot. And then we have, let's see, Spirit Within, I believe is the next one. I think that's this one. I'm going to take a guess. Spirit Within. If I'm wrong on that one, forgive me. And then this final one is Raven's Tarot. Okay, so there we go. That's going to have to do. So you guys can vote on them, and I'll show you in order what they look like. So this is Prisma Visions. Really cool. Again, kind of looks like Van Gogh paintings. This one is Field Tarot, one of the newer ones that I got. It has sort of flat imagery, but like also it's kind of a combination between flat and 3D. Nice, a little bit abstract, but I like this one as well. This one, which I think is the Spirit Within, is all silhouettes. I'm calling it that. If I misnamed it, forgive me. I just am trying to multitask today. So this is cool because it's all kind of like shadows and silhouettes. And then this was a brand new one that I was trying to get for Halloween but got later. This is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot by Maggie Stiefvater. So obviously tons of ravens and kind of like a druidy sort of feel, all illustrated. Okay, so... let's see. Prisma Visions is winning. So I think we're going to go with that one and call it and get started. All right. Thank you, everyone, for helping me pick today. So let me just put these back to the side and we'll get started. Occasionally I do that. I don't always do that because sometimes I have a very clear idea of what I want to focus on. But today I thought, let's let everyone decide. I know it's fun to be able to participate, and it's a sort of bonus for anybody that's here live. You get a chance to impact this a little bit. All right. Thanks for helping vote. I appreciate it. Again, you can look at this for your sun, rising, and moon signs. Also Venus, any sort of aspect of your chart that you happen to know is fine. Everyone's always welcome to show up as well. A lot of my regular viewers just show up when they need to. And the way that I work is I also just tune into the general energy, which is why my collective readings work. So you're always welcome to show up, even if you're not sure what your placements are. Just turn the camera down so you can see a little bit more as I'm pulling everything. This is a really beautiful, kind of trippy deck, so I'm glad you guys chose it. I don't read with it all the time, but when I do, it's always a treat. As you can tell, the images are not your typical Rider-Waite-Smith. It's kind of like you're walking into one of those Van Gogh paintings. I saw that we had one of those exhibits. They're touring them around certain cities where you can kind of like walk it almost as if you're inside one of his paintings. So we'll do a little of that here today. There's that frog from the weekend. That's why I mentioned him today. So all right, let me get everything set up here. So how's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you again, and let's get started here. I want to begin with this lovely card here showing our basically our catalyst here. Really what I'm drawn to look at on this one is the black and white energy on this, and sort of looking at maybe that where we're at in our lives right now is really more in the middle. When we try to put things as either on or off, black or white, or basically just fixating on a single way of doing it, you miss the facets, you miss the other like dimensions and directions. So I'm imagining that like if this was 3D, I want to see what's on the other side. You can kind of almost see it like here. This almost looks like a pyramid, right? So if we could start to look at all the different angles to a situation and to an opportunity in our lives, I think that's going to be the most important thing, because if you discount something simply on the fact that you've never done it before, you were told that you shouldn't do it, that you never imagined yourself doing it, you're boxing in your potential. So don't box in your potential. I really want you to see things as three-dimensional. So the more I play around with this card and look at it, the more I can actually see the two dimensions here. And I'm like, let's go and make it 3D, or the three dimensions rather. At first, you might just see the two triangles, but then you can almost see how they bend backwards. So this is a cool card. I want you to just keep looking at something and dig a little deeper. That's one of our themes today. Like, ask the tough questions, dig a little bit deeper. All right. But I feel like you might be able to either find a common ground, you might be able to empathize with somebody and help them see your point of view, or you may even change your point of view. So just stay open and you'll be surprised. Roses are an interesting symbol as well. They come through in tarot. I believe, the Fool sometimes carries it, but the Death card definitely has the banner. There's a white rose on the banner of death, and I think the Fool carries a rose as well. So endings and beginnings, right, is what this can symbolize for many of you. And there's a very similar energy. This is why when I receive the Death card in tarot, I never worry about it, because it's just change. And change, it just depends what direction you're looking at it from. If you're looking at it from the direction of what is lost or what is past versus what is on the horizon, it has a very different feel and connotation, right? Let's look at your center card. We have the Ace of Pentacles here. The card is reversed, but what I really like if we look at it upright is we see an open door on the horizon. This is nicely in alignment with what I was just talking about. Death and the Fool, ends and beginnings. So where are you at? What in my book, I also call death sort of like the being that stands at the nexus between ends and beginnings. So that's kind of what I would imagine. January, we'll be looking at next month. Janus is a two-headed god that looks in both directions, or Janus, it doesn't matter how you say it, but basically he has one face towards the future, one towards the past. So if you're willing to look toward the future, then there's a door open. Okay. The card in reverse could be a decision for many of you to spend some time and energy on yourself, to invest in yourself. A lot of times this means taking some saved money, perhaps going towards buying a house. It could be deciding to invest in education for yourself or your family. You're taking something and you're going to put a bet on it because you believe in it. So it's a calculated risk and a calculated investment. And it seems like it's a good time to do that, okay? For some of you, there could be an invitation. So usually aces have a hand on it, but this hand is sort of like maybe on the other side. It's more like, come on through and we'll see. You need to ask your questions. So if there is somebody that says, I'd like to hire you for this job, or let's get married, or do you want to partner in this business, or whatever, some sort of a partnership, then say, wow, this sounds really exciting. I have questions. Let's talk. Let's talk. I think is not like we need to talk, which is terrible, but like, yeah, let's talk some more. Let's give me some more information. Yeah, I'd love to hear more. So, and then ask your questions, because that's where you are going to be able to gain insight and power as well. And that's why we have the King of Swords valiantly kind of standing here against the snowstorm. We see a swarm of butterflies here at the center around this king. And I think for you, this is all about change. I think there's like, it almost looks like a couple of, they look like swans or geese in there. So I think the important thing for you to focus on is, how can I look at this and change this? What's my potential to create some positive movement and positive change? Your voice, your actions, your ability to act upon your ideas, all of these things are going to bring those little butterflies into your life, okay? Ace of Pentacles on this can also, like Ace of Pentacles and King of Swords together, can be pitching an idea, pitching a project, evaluating something. Some of you are going through finals and midterms, so this makes a lot of sense. So you're fine. These cards are not showing any problems, but basically just make sure that you articulate yourself in these situations to your best ability, and it's going to be worth it. Let's look at your deep past. We have the Ace of Swords. A lot of aces coming through, lots of opportunities coming through. So we have the Ace of Swords here coming through and saying, let's pick up and really take control of something. I look at this and I almost think of Excalibur. So what it's asking you to do is to realize this is what you were called to do. Not everyone can do what you're going through. You signed up for some of these lessons. You signed up for some of these opportunities. And what you really want to focus on right now is embracing it and thinking, I'm here at this moment because it's the right time. And I'm not going to second guess my ability to sort of like step into this. So are you ready to receive the calling? Are you ready to take the mantle, to take charge? An Ace of Pentacles and an Ace of Swords. This is an offer. This is a contract. This is good. This is really auspicious. This also requires, though, on your part, action, a promise, communication, something. So it's sitting with you, and the ability to kind of push this forward is sitting with you. So remember, you always have the power. You always have that sort of initiative. Use the initiative. If you're waiting for a decision, these look good so far, but let's just get through all the cards here. I mean, it ends with the star, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I feel like for those of you that are trying to go towards something new, then it's auspicious based on what I can see. By the way, for those of you that are still talking about the card choices, it's democratic here. You'll have choices in the future to vote. I always put it out there. So just keep showing up at the lives and you'll have a shot. All right, we have the Knight of Swords here, and this is in the recent past. So what this is saying for many of you is that this is what I was talking about. If there's anything that's unjust, if there's anything that's bothering you, this knight is not afraid to kind of fight the beast that we see here. So nobody is, there's no such thing as a little voice or a small opinion. One voice, one opinion can actually create a domino effect. Oftentimes people around are waiting for a voice of reason. Let's kind of reframe what it could be. The question, a voice of reason, someone bringing up the elephant in the room when there's something happening and nobody's saying like what's going on. So if there's an elephant in the room, be the one that acknowledges it. And by the way, that figure of speech just means that there's something obvious, but everyone's pretending like it's not there. So if something is obviously wrong or needs to be dealt with, or if there's a solution and you really want to share it, like put that out there, because believe it or not, there'll be more voices of agreement or like curiosity than probably dissent on that as well. Okay. So I like that. I like that we also have both a king and a knight here. So this is a good month for partnerships. And many of you may actually be ready or willing to bring in a new partner. These cards are cool because if you combine them, if I have the queen in the middle, they actually create a scene, which is what's nice here. So you don't have to do this alone. You can actually call in support. So if there's someone that's a little bit more senior, a little bit more experienced, bring them in and then they'll have your back. So this is another piece here that maybe you might lack the experience or the title, but someone around you that has a little bit more may be in perfect agreement with you. So pull them in so that you have that backup and that support. Together, you can change that and you can fight whatever is kind of like coming through and trying to put a block in the way. But Knight of Swords, by the way, is picking up of action if we take it out of the illustrations of this deck. King of Swords is really focusing on the power of your speech, taking action on things. So is the Ace of Swords. The Knight of Swords coming through saying once you start to say it, things start to happen quickly. So the communication, the understanding, the development of the idea actually brings across that action faster than you think. All right. The one thing that's going to challenge some of you this month is emotions and emotional state. So we have this almost kind of like a octopus arm coming through on this this King of Cups here. The card is in reverse, but what you want to try to really do is to stand tall and to realize that if there's anything going on, you need to probably just give yourself a chance to decompress. Remember what I talked about in the channeled messages earlier. If there's a pressure test going on, if there's some heavy emotions, if you're in a work situation or even like a social situation where the group or the office or the morale around you is kind of like crazy, you want to try to elevate it and let the dust settle. You don't need to agitate things anymore. But what you're going to hopefully be seen as is the stronger or the sort of calmer one here, the calm in the middle of the storm. And that's going to serve you well. So you need to find your calm. Your emotions have a great reach and they affect a lot of people around you. So if you can channel your positivity, your passion, your excitement, that sort of octopus type tentacle arm that we see there can actually be used to pull things into your life. They can equally push things away if you're not in your sort of highest energetic self. So work to get your energy in a good place and then use the sort of passion, the excitement, and that optimism to pull people into what you're trying to accomplish, okay? There could be love coming through for many of you, but your emotional state is going to be so important to make sure that you don't miss an opportunity or scare someone away, right? All right, so this deck has a wild card, just like, you know, sort of like if you're playing cards, I think like the Joker can be wild sometimes or whatever. But we have tiny elephants in this lovely wild card here. And so I mentioned earlier the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room can be something that needs to be dealt with, but there could also be something that people are refusing to see. So you could be, you know, you could be that tiny elephant, you could be the big elephant, but what this could mean is like, if there's something going on and people aren't recognizing you, maybe it's, again, choice of what you want to do in life. Maybe it's choice of who you love. That's often, it doesn't matter. You know, there's so many things that people could take up some sort of an offense to, like whether it's the age or the national origin or the gender or the language or whatever, or the religion. And it's so ridiculous because what I talked about earlier, we've lived so many lives that more likely than not, we've been every one of those. We've been everything under the rainbow. So as long as you are happy and authentic, just kind of like raise your trunk and make some noise like an elephant would and make people deal with what's going on. I feel like this is really an auspicious symbol too. So Ganesha in Eastern religion is a great sort of deity for overcoming obstacles, right? So if there's any obstacles in your way, what you really want to look at is, do I believe in myself? Am I afraid? What am I afraid of? This is really kind of like questioning to you, if not now, then when? And why are you nervous? What is it that's holding you back? Look that obstacle, head on, and then think your way through it. Elephants are very intelligent. So you can use your thoughts and your words to probably get out of almost any challenging situation and change it to your liking, because we have the butterflies there at the center, right? So I think that's going to be powerful. They're graceful. Sometimes people think that they're big and that must mean they're clumsy. They're not. They're graceful. They're intelligent. You just don't want to get in front of one of these because they're powerful and they're not going to maybe understand their size or their potential. That's another piece of this, is you may just be underestimating your potential. So the elephant's coming through to remind you, even a tiny elephant is a force to be reckoned with. So give yourself credit, ask the questions, the tough questions, and think, what is it that's holding me back? And what am I afraid of? Sometimes it's good to be the elephant and to make some noise. So don't be afraid this month, okay? Cute card, great message, strong and powerful symbol. Ganesha is one of my favorite deities as well. I think that's a really auspicious symbol for you. You have luck, removal of obstacles, and intelligence on your side, so use it. Okay. As we look at you, your heart, your soul, how you're showing up, we have temperance this month. So I would like to give you extra encouragement and credit to just continue to be the calm in the storm. And that's really what we see here. Temperance is also the ability to take a first step. Typically in a Rider-Waite Smith illustration, you would see someone with 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the water. I usually associate this with springtime here in the Northern Hemisphere, probably like April. I mentioned a few readings back that there's a portal that's opening up for a lot of signs, where one of the portals is right now, and then another one's coming in the spring. And this came through when I was talking about stag energy, or we were looking at caribou or reindeers. And basically, many of them are losing their antlers right now, and the female will lose theirs around May. But I would say May or May of next year is when this big opportunity is coming through. So patience as you develop and step through that. Some of you are in it, some of you are headed toward that sort of portal. So you want to stay calm and just keep taking a step at a time and think, I can make it through each and every one of these challenges. I signed up for this assignment and I'm going to master it. I understand the assignment. You are also being encouraged to take more control and accountability. This is showing up in the environment. So people are looking at you now in a different light. Wow, I actually value your experience. Even if you're young, you know a lot. If you're old, you are really worth every penny because of all of the experience that you have. You want to look at how willing people are able, how willing and able people are to kind of let you step into your power. However, an emperor, which is basically the king, a lot of times doesn't want to abdicate their throne or whatever I think that's what it's called, but basically step aside or let go of power. So sometimes there's only room for one really big personality in a family, in an office, in a situation. I believe in twin and triple star systems because that's what's out in astrology, or astronomy rather. And so you don't need, I think that stars are of different frequencies and different sizes, but there's no reason that they have to compete. Given proper distance, they can kind of coexist very peacefully. And unless one goes supernova or something like that, they're fine. So think of yourself in a nice sort of like our star. If there were two, yellow stars out there and they were far enough apart, aside from the red dwarf phase or whatever, the red giant phase, they're not going to get in each other's business. So try to find a nice, equally energetic partner right now, or a place where you can shine brightly and someone's not intimidated by you, because there's room for 2 or 3 stars, sometimes even 4-star systems out there. So if somebody's limiting you because they're afraid of you or fearful of that, then it's time to move on, to move out, to look for something else. Remember that in order to, if you're in a position of power and you're trying to foster good leaders, you want to give them autonomy. So this is also a card about not micromanaging, which we talked about yesterday. So giving people room to grow is important too. You need it and other people need it. So the Emperor is coming through on a lot of different levels saying, own your situation, be powerful, let other people do the same. When you are in a place where you're leading, and even just if it's a family, you want strong personalities, you want powerful people, because that means that you've created that, you've fostered strength in your group. You never want weaker people around you. You always want people equal or greater than, because that continues to make sure that you're growing and that it's just a higher frequency. Some of you want to be entrepreneurs. Some of you want to break out and do something on your own. Some of you are just finding your voice. All of this is good. And the Emperor card is coming through at a really nice time for that. Okay. Let's look now at what could be holding you back. This is one of the trippiest sun cards that I have. But here we go. Here's the sun. Definitely some psychedelic influences on these cards. But when the card is reversed, what we see here is, I'm going to imagine these like rays of light here. So sometimes when we turn the sort of like, or even like you can imagine it like a satellite, but for some of you, there may be a lack of ability to sort of like, this is going back to what we just talked about. So I can actually see it in 3 different levels. So we have to talk about it in 3 different levels. For some of you, you're going to focus on personal development. The sun card is a baby, and you want to take care of something that wasn't dealt with in your past. So you're going to nurture yourself, do something because it feels right, and you're not going to really feel like you need to apologize for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. So some of you are following through on something from the past, and that is perfect. This is the perfect timing, because the sun reversed is something that's overdue. Some of you are dealing with the person around you that is completely in their own energy. They have no capacity, interest, or desire to focus on what you are saying. And so there's a selfish sort of energy for some of you that you're dealing with. This is very much attached to the Emperor energy. It's right above it. So remember, you do not have to please or acquiesce or kind of like kowtow to that energy if you don't want to. And this could be the sort of final straw that gives you a chance to move on. The sun is also charisma. And so for some of you, you're just starting to realize that you have like a certain ability to just turn on charm or charisma. And I'm encouraging you to do that, from smiling to really finding your voice. As I said before, the voice can be in written word or spoken, or you might even just be bolder in your choices, like thinking like, I'm going to dress differently. I'm going to cut my hair differently. I'm going to express my personality more. And fashion is not the most important thing, but it is important. And choices in fashion do sometimes really get people's attention. So use all of these things to kind of help you be the star, because that's what the final card is the star. And this is what I was talking about. It can work, but not in this arrangement. If I had the sun upright and the star upright, I would say you've got like a twin star partnership coming through. But if one of the cards is in reverse, it's saying that other person's on a different path or they're in a different frequency, and you need to honor them where they're at. And if they're not expressing interest, or if you need to go in a different direction, that's okay. Because ultimately, this is you. That was them. And what we see here with the star card is growth, blossoming, creating that sort of order. And so if there was disorder, if there was sort of like this kind of crazy energy around you, I see you stepping into a really great year ahead, but also like a really great moment in your life. The star card, as typically illustrated, would be, just this, it's a beautiful woman typically by the water. Sometimes you see a sky card, but basically it's just showing you without artifice. Usually the person has no clothing on. And that's basically because like a god or goddess in Roman or Greek sculptures or paintings, it's just divine. So it's reminding you of your divine right to be happy, your divine path, which hopefully you're aligning to. And that if you hold back, you are muting your power. So I really want you to feel emboldened and encouraged to be you, to be authentically yourself. If someone in your life disapproves, disagrees, or withdraws support because of that, then they were giving you conditional love. If someone in your life wishes that you were more like your brother or sister, wishes you were more like your father or mother, wishes you were more like this person or that person, if you could only do this, it would be so much easier. I would like you more. That person doesn't truly see you. They need to evolve a little bit, and you don't need to change to get their love or support. You're already there. They're just afraid of losing you sometimes. They're also maybe afraid of being outshined by your energy, when the truth is you're both stars. But you have a chance now to go further. Don't let someone hold you back. That's what I'm really seeing here. Those are the main messages there. We're going to expand it now to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and we'll get some additional messages on each one of these. Let's start with your health card. We have the Mother, Father, God card here. So this is precisely what we've been talking about. I was almost tempted this morning to talk about the snail, and we got the snail here at the center, like the golden ratio, but it looks like a snail if you look right at the beginning. So those can either be rays of the sun, or it can also be kind of, to me, like a snail or a nautilus. It even looks like that really cool looking animal in the ocean that kind of looks like it's swimming backwards, but it isn't. All right, so when we look at a snail, let's talk about a couple things about that, then let's go into this piece of it. So a snail is a wonderful symbol in tarot. It's attached to the 9 of Pentacles. It is about slow and steady growth. And with each sort of year, you get a little bit more shell that kind of grows around that. So I feel like you've been building up this really nice, firm, strong foundation, and that you're on your way to the independence, the self-sufficiency, and the strength that I would normally see in that 9 of Pentacles. So you are doing really well for yourself. Keep working on you. And the 9 of Pentacles is on the horizon. Even though we're looking at health, it's here. The important thing is to find the inner strength and the inner value, the inner self-worth, so that when you are negotiating and things like that, that it comes through. Now we see Mother, Father, God. So basically saying that you had, even if mom and dad, or mom and mom, or dad and dad weren't there for you the way that they needed to be, or if you had like a single parent or whatever, or no parents, the truth is these were just conduits. The mother father energy is typically a conduit so that we can get from spirit to the planet. So the first contract is that we just agreed to kind of come in through that family. Whether they then follow through on what they can do for you, like raise you, feed you, support you, that is on them. And if they don't do it, that doesn't make you more or less of a person. It does affect things like self-confidence, but however your parents showed up for you, that was them. But you get to decide now what you want to do, because the most important thing here is that you're connected to the divine. So these sort of things don't have to get in the way. You now have the capacity to go straight to the divine, with or without parents. And we all reach a point in our lives where it's just us, right? So whether you were born that way, or you're at a point in your life where you're now, again, solo, you can reach to them, you can reach to the stars, you can reach to the divine. So this is really helping you see beyond the ancestral karmic energy. You can actually heal your ancestral karmic energy this month if you want to. You can work on forgiving parents, releasing any sort of issues with addiction or with finances or with abuse. You're going to give it to the stars, and you're going to say, that was an old legacy that I don't need. That's not mine. I'm breaking that, and I'm starting something new. So this is a rebirthing chance for you to reclaim your power, to differentiate yourself from your parental and ancestral line, and to reconnect yourself to the divine. And that's a lot for a health card, but that's what it's really about. So what it's saying now is some of the things that you're going to be focusing on in health. This can be mother or father, but typically father. The paternal energy may need some healing, so you're going to work on that. Some of you that are parents may be working on healing an estrangement with children, vice versa. Again, it works both ways. So it really comes through as parent and children energy that can be healed. So all of us had a parent, or we wouldn't be here. And some of us have children. And so we'll be focusing on those kind of bonds. There can also be chosen family. So if you have a mother or father figure in your life, maybe this is a time to kind of go deeper into connecting with that or healing that energy. So that's one of the things that we're looking at here. Let's look at some other messages just strictly from the cards. and then we'll get into the next thing that we want to look at here. So some other things that I'm focusing on for you, emotional well-being. So I really think that if there's any sort of just emotional health in general, so whether it is sadness, depression, stress, anger, fear, whatever's going on, talk to somebody, know that you're not alone, find a way to start to deal with some of those emotional triggers in your life. If there's something wrong or going on in your body, the tiny elephant is saying, hey, let's pay attention to it. Let's deal with it while it's this and not this. So obviously, whenever we're looking at health stuff, my encouragement is for you to always work with a professional, a doctor, etc. I'm just here to look at the energy. So that's just my standard disclaimer. But it does look like some of you might be avoiding something just because you're afraid. It has been a while or whatever, maybe because of the pandemic. This is a chance for you to go back and to take care of that now. All right. Let's see what else is here. This is also just spirit saying you're never too old or too young to do anything. There's a little bit of ageist energy that can come through with the Emperor. So sometimes we fear youth, which is the Sun card usually, and age. We're afraid like if you're too young, you don't get taken seriously. If you're too old, people also sometimes discount what's going on. And so when it comes to just general opportunities in life in general, let's take the ageism out of it. And you're never too old and you're never too young to do the right thing, to make the right changes. There may be a really cool mentorship opportunity coming through with the Emperor and the Sun. So maybe you're deciding to give back and to do some volunteer work, maybe to work in a youth-oriented program or something, and this is confirmation to that. The good news is I see auspicious and positive endings here with the Sun, with the Star card. So please know that it looks like you're headed in a good place for health. One last thing, and then we're going to move on to wealth. The Star card can have to do with the urinary tract. So if you've had any infections, or if you're not drinking enough water, or if there's anything going on and you need help, this card would kind of beg for you to go to a urologist or an OB/GYN and just make sure that everything is functioning the way that it needs to be. It can kind of have to do with that part of the body. So take care of that. Also solar plexus. So for some of you, there could be some issues even with like digestion or ulcers or stress kind of being tied up as a knot there. So work on stress relief. All right. Let's move on now to the wealth card. We have a couple that came through. So we'll start with the first one. And this is what we just talked about. Even looking at this, not to look at things in black and white. So this first card is School of Fish. It says single-mindedness. It says choose your own path and what is best suited to you. You and you alone get to decide. You don't have to follow you don't even have to follow what you studied in school, where we're looking at the School of Fish. I used a sort of like combination of the skills from my 2 different degrees that I got. So I had like a background in film, a background in journalism, a minor in English. It all kind of fits together to do what I'm doing here. But I'm not a reporter. I'm not making films, but I am a digital creator making sort of these shorts here, and I'm producing videos live. So, and I have to write a lot of stuff. So it all comes together, and I do ask questions, but to the cards, you just might want to look at it from a different lens. So you can use all of your tools, but you might need to rearrange them. And it's sort of like you're going to melt the metal down and make different things from them. You've got the source material, but you have to reimagine the application or the way that you're putting all of them together. Okay, the next thing here is the Unexplained Wonder card. This is really cool. This card was reversed. It says magical blessings and miracles are occurring in your life. All of your prayers are answered now. So this is really talking about the speed with which things can happen. Sometimes we think that, things are going to take forever. What we saw here with the Knight of Swords is take action now, and don't underestimate the ability for your voice to create that sort of domino effect. So that's the message with that. Act now and watch and see and kind of learn how to kind of navigate and manifest a little bit more quickly. Let's now look at the cards just with a lens into your finances and your money and how you're spending your energy, because that can hit at any different point of life. Let me do something I don't normally do. I'm going to break it down to those of you that are in school at the beginning of your career. Then we'll look at like mid-career, and then we'll look at retired. And we'll see if there's some messages here. So if you're just starting out, I think the important thing for you is to really speak up and like ask the questions. I was talking about this earlier. If you're picking a program for school or an internship, or you're entering into your first job, make sure that the contract is what you want. Make sure that you know what you're getting into, how much work is involved, particularly if you're going to do something like law or medicine, just to really understand the time and energy commitment. And then even once you get out, the sort of like, it's almost like you go through some hazing when you have to go through your residency and stuff like that. Paralegals and things like that. Every sort of career path, there's a period of time where you have to pay your dues. Do some research and talk to some people that are in that portion and make sure that you understand that. Your voice, your vision matters. And there may be something that's missing in whatever you want to do. So whether you are just starting out or mid-career, and I'm going to kind of move into mid-career, I think what's important is, how do I fit into this? Is my vision, is my voice a part of this? Is there something that's missing out there? This is especially true for those of you that are writers, filmmakers, artists, or even trying to invent something, but you're noticing that a certain type of audience is not being represented. This is about making sure that you develop for that or solve for that situation. So if no one else is dealing with it, then you actually have an opportunity for something to be lucrative. So go after what everyone else is ignoring. Do the sort of going against the grain thing, and it's going to probably work in your favor. And then for those of you that are like latter career or retired, one of the things that I see here is a new beginning. Maybe it is working with children. Maybe it's going back to work. Maybe it's deciding now to do stuff just for you because it's fun. And I'm all for that. When we're looking at just money cards in general, I like that we have an Ace of Pentacles, but it is reversed. So I think the one thing that you want to really do is talk to others about what they're getting paid, what the sort of best practices are. Do your research, basically, so that you can negotiate and you can price. The fact that we talked about supply and demand is also going to be really important for those of you that run a business, to make sure that you are adjusting to things like inflation, supply and demand. We're having a lot of issues right now on a global scale because of certain boats and different modes of transportation not being what they used to be, certain countries not being able to, chip shortages, things like that, inflation. So there's a lot of different things that are going to drive prices up and down, and money's worth more or less than it used to be. So this is a really like flexible and fluctuating sort of time. And you have to be smart with your money, and you have to be smart with making sure that what you're getting paid and what you're paying, it's all kind of working in your favor. So sit down and make a budget. Look at your budget. It's not fun, but it's going to be really empowering and give you what you need to get to the next phase. And if we look back at this, the single-minded approach won't work. You're going to have to think of things that you haven't explored before. And then once you take action, you're going to notice that things happen quickly. All right. A couple of last notes here. The way to success is to really just be yourself and to not have to edit and hold back. Let's see if there's anything else. Even if you're young, you have like an old soul here. You have great wisdom, and that's coming through. So find a place to showcase your experience so that at any age, people can appreciate that. All right, let's move on to relationships. This is where communication is going to be really important. We have the frog spirit, and I didn't talk about this on the weekend, but they're also transformation symbols, right? Because they start off as like a little tadpole, and then they end up looking like this. So we kind of see them going through that metamorphosis as well. So relationships are growing, but what we see on this one is to clear out the clutter. And I also think it has to do with communicating and getting it out of your throat chakra. So if there's something that you've been holding on to, if there's something you can't just quite say, maybe you can write it. Maybe you can get someone else to be there with you while you say it. Because as we looked at the communication cards here, we did see a king and a knight. So you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to go at this alone. And I think the important thing for you is to feel supported, to articulate and to kind of like plan out what your thoughts are before you start to talk. Even if you do something like this, and you don't have to refer to the cards, you can have something on your phone too. You can have just some notes and say, I want to talk about this, this, and this. So just make sure you have like a plan of attack, and I think that's going to be important to help you get it out. Let's look at this from in relationship, looking for a relationship, single and happy. If you're in a relationship right now, let's take a look and see what's going on here. We do see big personalities. Again, with the the sun and the star card here. The good news is that for many of you, I feel like you're going to be able to work it out, but the other person has to kind of like soften up a little bit and see it from your perspective. My encouragement for you is to not have to bend over backwards as much as maybe you have, because I think this person could have been sort of like, sometimes people get coddled a little bit, or everyone kowtows to them and they get used to things going their way. So I want you to stand strong and really fight for what's important for you, and let this person see that strength. And hopefully we can get it to sort of like come up so that you both are two different stars. When we go kind of like to more specific things, money is the center of relationships this month, Ace of Pentacles. A birth could also be coming through on a proposal. So for some of you, again, it could be it's a fresh, brand new marriage or partnership. Some of you are looking at starting a family, or there's an unexpected birth. And for the rest of you, you need to talk money. And there's a bunch of question marks and unknowns with all of these. Emotions are kind of ruling the day here. So we want to get more to tangible things, not just I want this, I feel this, I need this. Let's talk about why you need it, why you want it, why it's important. And I think that's going to be important to letting the other person see it from your point of view. Otherwise, we just have two opposing stars, and it's hard for one of these to really kind of come through clearly. So that's for current relationships. Again, with some of you, it's a biological clock, or it can also be a timeline sort of thing. Like, if I don't do this now, then I'm not going to have a chance. So you may have actually, could also be for those of you that might even be like, 50, 60, 70, you're past the sort of raising of the children, and you're looking at like, I want to start something new. And it's a giving birth to a new part of yourself. So I kind of like that path. You just have to make sure the partner's on board with it, because they're kind of questioning, where did this come from? And you can say, it's always been here. I'm just finally articulating it. You're getting the frog out of your throat. For those of you that are looking for love this month, you got a lot of options. I have to say that. What I'm seeing, though, is that there's something very interesting about the way the person comes through. We either have someone who doesn't look their age, so they're like older, but they are very youthful, both in appearance and in acting, or they could be younger, but have this maturity that belies their age. So there's some sort of like old soul energy, or young vibe in an old body, something interesting that's going on here. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So maybe don't question how you feel. It's just sort of like where spirit's bringing you. A lot of times we get thrown a curveball. So if it feels right, then move toward that. For some of you, you're just not ready emotionally right now, even though we see opportunities coming through for you. So you really have to kind of like empty out whatever emotional baggage you're holding on to. And it could be an air sign, because we have a lot of air coming through here at the center. So there could be an air sign, but get your money matters where they need to be, get your emotional matters balanced out, and then everything factors in. This is a deep connection if you're going to meet somebody new and you've done your homework here. Then we start to see if I'm open to love in the highest form. Love in the highest form may come through in a different package than expected, but it could be really nice, okay? And everything kind of blurs together like the sun card. So when you just sort of like let it go, then you're like, well, this is what I was looking for, okay? So keep an open mind is what I would say. For those of you that are single and happy, I see a genesis and a rebirth. All we have to really focus on is this side of the spectrum here. So you're going into perhaps an unknown or uncharted part of your life. And what we see here is be patient with yourself, release the sort of feeling that age matters. And then all of a sudden we see a genesis and a birth, and we see your highest self coming through with the star card. So I see a brand new beginning for you. Could come in the form of a job. One thing that's really interesting, and I only have so many cards, I don't always mention it unless it kind of naturally shows up here as I'm reading, but I saw a proposal to move for some of you, coming for those of you that are working. And you basically are going to get what you want, but I felt like hesitation. And in that dream mode, I said, do you really want to move? And you kind of said, I don't think so. So I want you to make sure that if there's a move and you're not happy with relocation, that you talk about that you give yourself the time to check out where this is going to, don't just move to move. I've done that before, and it's not helpful, because first of all, moving can be one of the most powerful and positive things in your life. If you want to do it, if you're open to it, if everything's in alignment. However, if you decide to move to escape a problem, to just sort of like invigorate yourself, but there's like no rhyme or reason, it's not necessarily going to give you the desired effect, because moving, you're still kind of like, you may get rid of all the stuff, but you might still be carrying baggage with you. So make sure that when you move, that you're not just kind of clearing out the closets, but you're clearing out the karma, and that's sort of like all the chains and the baggage that you're bringing behind you, like we see in the Christmas Carol. We want to kind of like, that's where I was saying at the end, make sure that all the loose ends are tied up, because in that way you can truly move through that door that we see at the center, and it can be a nice new day, a nice clear opportunity. So don't move for the sake of moving. Move because you're ready. Move because you want it. Okay. So that covers all the different types of situations that could be coming through. Communication is going to be key. Communication can change things. Communication can speed things up. The frog leaps. So it's also kind of connected with the Fool card. You can get further faster than you think with that. I like that. And appropriately enough, as we wrap up this main portion of the reading here, we have the gazelle coming through. And the gazelle is a great symbol for speed. And what I would say here also, you want to keep your eyes and ears open. So with the Destiny card, what you hear, what you see, what you pick up on intuitively can really bring you there faster. And we also have like a rising sun here behind the gazelle. So you got a lot of sun and star energy coming through here. So we're looking at, I really am excited about not just the month ahead, but I think the year ahead for you. I think there's some pivotal changes with the star and the sun and the frog and the gazelle, all these sort of transformative and quickly moving cards. So just stay open, okay? Let's pull a card for the big idea to kind of help you see what you can really focus on this month. If there was one thing to look at, what's the main focal point? So we have the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is a fantastic card to teach you the importance of hope and also like strength in asking for help if you need it. So we talked about familial bonds and how to heal them. With the Five of Pentacles, this is definitely about working with the mother, father, even brother, sister, or child energy that you have in your life. Whatever's going on where you feel like, I wish I could have said this, I wish I could have done this, now is the time to kind of like clean that up. This can also have to do with your own internalized limits that you put on yourself, thinking, you know, they're not ready to see me in that light. They're not willing or open to sort of like accept me. The truth of the matter is the door is open. We see this lovely door here, and ostensibly it's to the sort of like chapel or sanctuary right here. In this card, there's always help. There's always a place of safety that you can go to, but sometimes there's hesitation because you fear, will I be accepted? Will I be welcomed? It's your time. That's one thing that you really want to focus on, is feeling like, I'm ready for this. This is my time right now. The other thing here is, if there is another helping hand out there, don't be so fiercely independent or so proud that you maybe turn down an opportunity for constructive criticism, for assistance, for something like a helping hand, because all of that is coming through here. So your big idea is kind of like, there's a few pieces to it, but you are worth this moment in time. You can heal the familial energy that we talked about. There is help ready and available. Are you ready and willing to accept it or reach out for it? If you do that, this brings you to the star energy. It allows you to truly step into your power and shine. Okay. Financially, I don't want you to limit yourself. I hardly ever read the Five and the Two of Pentacles as a financial card, but there are financial pieces to this. And I would just say with the Five of Pentacles, it tends to come through as a break-even sort of card. So I always want to advocate for you to get the Six of Pentacles, which gives you discernment, balance, and options. So with this one, some of you are over-delivering and you are you're underappreciated, maybe undercharging. You're not getting the reciprocation that you deserve. So definitely look at that. Look at how hard you're working and what you're getting from that, because you are worth it. That's ultimately what that card is telling me. You're worth even more than you imagine. Let's move on to one of my favorite parts, blessings and blocks, because it really helps prepare you. We'll start with the blessing for the month ahead. This is something to really embrace. No matter what it shows, it's going to help you. So let's see what the helping hand is from the universe. Six of Swords. This is a great card, okay? So the card was reversed, but let's look at this really unique illustration. We see the butterflies going across the bridge, and we see the winds of change blowing in the background. You can actually see the trees kind of swaying as they're moving. So typically with the Six of Swords, you would see a person in a boat. There's another person steering it. Sometimes there's a ghost in the boat too, but there's a horizon, a brighter day that they're headed towards. So what this is showing me is that there's been a delay, but it's not a permanent one. For some of you, it's a hesitation. You're thinking exactly what I was talking about earlier. Am I ready to make the move? The move does not have to be from one house, apartment, or residence to another. The move can be in or out of a relationship, in or out of a job, in or out of a phase in your lifetime, like we talked about retirement or entering the workforce. These are kind of like birthing moments for many of us, right? Rebirthing moments too, because you can have them at any point. You can decide to leave work, come back to work. You can decide to go to school, come back to school. You can break up, get together. So we're constantly going in and out of Six of Swords energy in our entire lives. The Death card is a little bit more pronounced, but the Six of Swords, I feel like some of us feel like we do this all the time. So movement is key. The blessing is actually that the path is opened up for you. The boat is waiting. Are you ready to take it? If there's been a slight delay, it's not the last ship. It's not the only ship. We kind of look at Middle Earth. There was many ships that left to the Grey Havens. There's more. There's another ship waiting for you. But you have to be ready to kind of like accept the call. So my question, and it's more of a homework or a rhetorical one because you kind of know the answer, is, are you ready? And if you're not ready, what's holding you back from getting into that ship? Distance can actually help you. So for those of you that are kind of at a creative block, if there's some sort of a relationship issue, if you're a little burned out doing what you're doing, whatever that might be, studying, working, etc., then change it up a bit. Take a holiday, take a week, take a few days, get back into your energy, get away from the environment. And this is going to give you clarity. So this can also help you make the ultimate decision of which way to go next. So hopefully that helps. But the blessing overall is that movement is coming. The movement will help you. You can also take a little break to figure out how, where, and when you're going to make that move. But it feels like it's an essential piece to the next part of your journey. Let's see what could be blocking you. Oh, that's nice. Okay. We have the Two of Cups card. So for some of you, you're really concerned about how your current situation affects the people that you love the most. So it's actually empathy. And it's not a really bad thing to come through for a block. But I would say for some of you, there's so much attached to the other person that it may be the only focus. So it doesn't have to be, remember, our big lesson today is that it doesn't have to be either or. Why can't you kind of bring this energy along for the journey? So try to involve people in your life change, in your overall path. As I said earlier, if it's unconditional love, they'll find a way to meet you or meet you halfway. Some of you might have just gotten into a relationship, and that can also be a very distracting sort of and all-encompassing sort of energy. It's not negative. It just sort of like can block you from concentrating because you might be trying to work or study and you're thinking of your partner. It can block you from being able to, you're going to have to check in with someone else because it's not just you. So it's not so much a block, but sort of it's something that you have to take into account. The only thing that it really comes in when it is a block is if someone in your life uses love as a crutch or a tool to sort of like keep you in place. And that's where you can go from like the Lovers to the Devil. So I'm not getting that from this. I think that the Two of Cups to me is a very lovely, loving, innocent sort of card. So I think that if you use love in your communication of changes of whatever to whomever, then it's going to be a great way to kind of like dissolve and move through any fear. So an example of this would be talking to a best friend and saying, you've been there through thick and thin. I'm going through something important right now, and I just want to make sure that you know, because I care about you. That's it. You're not asking for permission. You're not sort of like putting anything on them. You're just saying, hey, you should know. So let people know because you care about them. So if you love them and you want to go that far, like if it's a partner or a parent or a best friend, and you just say, listen, I love you, and I want you to be the first person to know what's going on. So here's what's happening, and I hope you support me on this, but I just wanted to let you know so that you can be there and you can be a part of this. Even saying I hope still gives them power. Just say, I know you love me and you want what makes me happy, and so you can basically say, this is what I want to do, and I just wanted to let you know. I don't think you need to ask permission on this one. If it's a friend, if it's a family member, and you're just talking about a change that's important to you, the only time is if you're married to someone, if they're depending on your time or energy or money, then you're going to say, this is a change I need to make. Let's talk about how to make it work. I don't want it to be anything that kind of throws you off. But I think as long as you're coming across loving and supporting, you'll be fine. Okay. If you just happen to fall in love, congrats. And then you'll figure this out. This is just going to be a new journey where there's another party, there's another energy involved, and you're going to navigate. And the Six of Swords is about navigation too. So, and there's two in the boat at least. So you'll be okay. The ghost in the boat, when we're looking back at the blessing, is also kind of saying goodbye to the past. So if you just entered into something new and you're worried, is it a repeat of the past? It's not, because everything that we've been doing over the past few years that I've been doing this should hopefully be helping you clear your karma. And the way that I read is hopefully helping you kind of get to that place of clarity. Okay. So let's do a quick viewer's choice, and then we'll move into the next portion here. I'll do a reader's while you vote on it. And we're a little bit over time today, so I'm going to try to move a little quicker at this point because I've been talking a lot today, but thanks for your patience. All right, so what we want to look at here for you, we'll do a quick poll here for viewer's choice. So let's see. All right, so viewer's choice, let's see what you can focus on today. All right, that Ace of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. So let's take a look at self-worth, net worth. And I'm also going to put like resources because it could be any one of these things. Okay. And then for the next one, I want to look at the two bright energies. So we're going to look at I'm just going to call it twin stars, big personalities, how to kind of like coexist with the two of them. And then the frog, because I did just talk about it on the weekend, but let's talk about how to say what you need to say. All right, so go ahead now and you guys can vote on that. And what I'm going to do quickly while you cast your vote is I'm going to pull a sort of wild card to see if there's anything that we've missed right now. What else can Sagittarius focus on to have an amazing month ahead? All right, so we have the Knight of Cups in reverse. What I like about this Knight of Cups is it was a tentacle on that beast that we saw before. He's actually finding a way to use his passion, use his emotions, use his creativity to rise above, to not sort of get stuck in all the naysaying, all of the sort of gossip, all of the emotional baggage that's coming through. When you can really ride that emotional wave, you're kind of unstoppable, right? So don't let anybody pull you down by a negative comment, by a lack of support. There's a difference between constructive criticism and just criticism, or someone that's just trying to kind of like pop your bubble. Don't let them burst your bubble here. This is your time to rise up. So stay in that elevated energetic state. I do think emotional health keeps coming through as an important topic this month, and I don't want to gloss over it. So if any of you are feeling a little bit, and this is a time of year where it's natural because it's holiday season, There's just a lot of stuff. Even if you're just watching shows on TV, it can make you feel, like weepy and sappy. So if there's anything going on and you're just feeling like you need to talk to someone, please talk to somebody. There's so many resources out there, whether it's a friend or a professional, reach out. But for the rest of you, channel that creative energy. And I really feel like you're going to have a powerful period right now. So professionally, creatively, and also in relationships, let's put that passion into something and see where it leads you. All right, so we have a pretty clear winner here. It looks like self-worth, net worth, and resources won. I'm going to shuffle the cards to make sure that that was the case. But while you're doing that, and while I await the final results, I'll keep shuffling it and see what's coming through. Yeah, by 45%, we have, looking at that sort of combination between the Ace of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. So what can you do to really find and embrace your self-worth? How can you parlay that into your net worth? And what's coming through maybe with the familial energy, even with the Five of Pentacles as well, if there's anything that needs to be dissolved from that. Okay, we got two cards, so we'll allow them to come through. Wow. All right, so they're two big cards. We've got the Three of Swords in reverse. The Three of Swords, actually, I'm just going to read them both upright because I'm going to look at them as transformative, but because they were both kind of like sideways when I pulled them up here. So we have the Three of Swords, which is overcoming, getting past sort of sadness in your life. What we see with this, again, the winds of change in the background, and we see that what has been said and done is said and done. This is sort of like, to use a different phrase, beating a dead horse, right? What is it worth? And that's a terrible phrase, but it's sort of like if you're trying to go after something or say something, but everything has been said and done. It's sort of like a bad or poor use of time and energy. So I would say what would be much better right now is to understand that you deserve to be happy. And if you're unhappy in a certain path, I think for many of you, if we're looking at self and net worth, let's say somebody told you that you needed to do something for love and you did it and they're still not happy. Do what you want to do. Do what's going to bring you love and joy. If you've been working yourself really hard, because it almost looked like the Ten of Swords for a second, and it still led you to this path of feeling like underappreciated or unhappy, this is a turning point for you. This is not the end all be all. We see the winds of change blowing here. So you're finally ready to move past disappointment, sadness, or trying to work with conditional love or energy in your life. You're starting to prioritize your heart health. You're deciding, I love myself and I love myself enough to let go of this. If we start to take those swords out and use them for something, if you just added a sword, it would be peace and movement. The Six of Swords coming through saying, letting go and moving on. So this is just saying enough with this, but it's there and you need to honor why it came through. What we got instead was the Tower. And the Tower was what I was basically dreaming about last night, a different version of the Tower. So when we look at this tower, the reason it's not working is the foundation is going to fall apart. It's out here on this cliff. There's erosion of water, and eventually that's going to come down. You are able to see this before it happens. So I believe that you are at a point right now where you've been through this. You know how the story ends, and you're going to choose a different path. You're going to say, I'm ready to really just dig in and do something that I want. Basically, this is a card of empowerment through change. I challenge you to look at the Tower in a very positive light. It comes through when the universe says, I want you to have more than this. I have your back. You have to trust me. It's going to be messy a little bit, but then it's going to be so much better. It's full circle because I saw the Tower and then the diamond. So whatever change, whatever mess, whatever chaos, whatever uncertainty, whatever unknown sort of energy you might be entering into, ultimately, it's going to bring you to this, okay? So you have to trust and release. So back to the question, so you have to change. If it's about finances, if it's about self-worth, if it's about really kind of moving into that positive growth for you, then a change is not only good for you, but it's probably necessary. It doesn't have to be massive. The Tower usually is pretty big, but it could just be a small change that has a ripple effect, okay? It could be an internal thought that changes all of the sort of external forces around you. but I need you to, I don't need you. I'm encouraging you. You always have free will. I'm encouraging you to look at it from a different angle and to really take the necessary steps. Okay. Don't be afraid of the tower. That's one thing that I'll put out there and just sort of, again, encourage you to see it as the universe cleaning up messes around you. But I saw you as rising up out of this. I saw a diamond in your hand. I see some positive movements. So you just have to navigate through this period of change, which ostensibly will be for the next 6 weeks or so. But that brings you into a stellar, literally, looking sort of January. So I can't wait to sort of read what January looks like for you as we get into the readings next month. But so far, so good. All right. Let's move into the meditation portion of the reading. A couple of notes as we get into this. I'd love for you to write down whatever question you still have for me. And then as I pull a final card at the end, I'll answer that. You just meditate on it and I shuffle the deck and I'll answer it. So stick around for that. That'll be coming in about 2 minutes time. Before we get into that, just a quick reminder. If you missed anything, it's going to be available immediately on replay afterwards. So you can always rewatch if you need to. If you just want to show simple support that really helps with discoverability, you can hit the like button. And if you're brand new and you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe and opt into notifications. If you really like what you see, there's also a share button that you can click when this is on replay, and that helps also new people discover this. So please feel free to share it on social media and join me on social media, and you can share what I post there. The pinned link above will help you get to all of that. On replay, you can also click thank you, or thanks rather. And for many of you, you've already become members or given back in Super Chat. I can see some folks doing that right now. I'll say thank you at the very end so I don't interrupt the flow here. So let's go ahead now and let's meditate, okay? So as we meditate today, I want to focus on the diamond because that was the central energy that came through for me today for you. So close your eyes. Let's go into the body first. And, you know, there's a couple of things that I want to look at here with the sun card, solar plexus energy for sure coming through, perhaps even the root chakra. And then the star for me can also kind of indicate even the crown here. So let's kind of move the energy through our body first. And then I want you to imagine that we're gonna create, you're gonna become a diamond basically, okay? So close your eyes, nice deep breath. Imagine yourself in a cave. It's not a scary cave. You can see outside. You're just sitting inside this cave. You're looking at the sun start to rise on the horizon. But while you're in this cave, while you're sort of safe here, you found a diamond that's been sort of pushed up through volcanic activity or through an earthquake or whatever. But there's a diamond in this cave, and you're going to pull it out of the rock and hold it in your hand. As you close your eyes, you're going to connect with the diamond and connect with your body. So imagine that you are traveling to the center of the earth with this diamond at where it was first sourced. So you can see the heat, you can see the molten activity at the center of the earth. You can see this carbon sort of crystallized energy before it was formed into a diamond. And you can just feel the pressure, the movement, the time, the energy that it went through. I want you to take a deep breath and let go of the stress in your body. You've already done the pressure testing that you needed to. Just like the diamond, you're ready to shine. So let's let go of the pressure first. Starting with anything that you're holding on to in your feet, your knees, or your hips. I want you to take a nice deep breath. Connect with the stone of the cave floor beneath you and push this into that and let it go. Feeling an opening in the hips and the knees and the feet. If there's any aches and pains that you're dealing with, any sort of arthritis, any sort of healing that you might be needing in the bones or the tendons, just feel it starting to open up and the blood to start to flow into that area a little bit more. Continuing to focus on the diamond, I want you to feel now this warmth coming through in your heart and your solar plexus areas, allowing for an increased confidence, increased self-love, which is going to help you with matters of money, with matters of power in your life. Feeling that in the stomach area, that it's kind of melting away any sort of fear and doubt. Also kind of working with the second chakra so that you can creatively express yourself. So this beautiful interplay of yellow and orange light glowing and then just kind of gently going away. You feel this opening and this clearing in those two areas. Moving up to your heart chakra, again, just this brilliant white light coming through here. You hold the crystal in place, and I'd like you to actually kind of like hold it there and allow it to just stay there. And now as this crystal starts to connect with your heart, this diamond connects with your heart, it's now going to send rays through each and every part of your body, so we don't have to physically move it. Through the throat, through the third eye, through the crown, again, back through the lower chakras, which we just worked with, and all the smaller ones. We have them on our fingertips, we have them on our ears, we have chakra systems throughout our entire body. So see the multifaceted surface of this diamond, creating rays of light that are extending through your body, and then see yourself starting to float and start to come out of the cave magically. I want you now to allow your body to just rise up and look at the world from a different point of view. Imagine that you're at the top of the mountain, the top of the 10 of Wands, and you can kind of come back down to the surface if you'd like to, or you can enjoy this sort of trippy feeling of levitating and seeing everything around you. Know in this moment that you are powerful. You are the star. You are capable of creation, recreation, birthing, rebirthing. You do not need the permission or the love of others to do what you're doing. Through loving yourself, through following your path, you're actually going to call all of that into being, into fruition. Okay? I'm going to choose the instrument today so that you can just enjoy. We're going to do the singing bowl because it has a nice continuous tone. So I just want you to keep your eyes closed. Feel that sense of elevation in thoughts, elevation in spirit. Just relax, keep breathing, and allow for the guides to come through. Your guides, your angels, whomever, whatever you connect to in the higher realms. You're a little bit closer to them now, and just allow them to show you, whisper to you, impart to you any sort of gifts or messages. And all you have to do is say, I am ready and I'm willing to receive love and abundance in the highest forms. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're floating through the air as light as a feather. Allow the winds of change to blow you in the right direction toward whatever goal or dream or aspiration rather, that you're trying to bring forth. Imagine now that this is within reach. But all you need to do is to let go, to basically surrender to your higher calling, to your higher purpose. See this feather-like energy landing wherever it needs to. See your body materializing around that feather, around that diamond. Keep both of these totems with you, the diamond and the feather, knowing that when you know who you are, when you live in this sort of lighter energy, just like we would see with the scales in Egyptian mythology, you're living that life, that feather light sort of energy where your soul, your heart is happy, it's pure, and you want to kind of keep that with you. Keep the crystal, keep the diamond with you as well, understanding your power, your reach, and keeping the clarity of your vision with you at all times, so that when opportunities come forth, you can appreciate them. Take a look at whatever piece of paper that you wrote. Look at that final message. Come back into your body by rubbing your hands together. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. If you want to seal that diamond in there, you can keep it there, so that as you take each and every breath and each and every beat of your heart, you're basically continuing to put that clarity and that vision in your body. All right, looking at your message, looking at your question, I want you just to kind of like repeat it either internally or out loud. And let me pull a card. We'll wrap things up here. We'll take a look at the final question. All right, so we have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands was reversed. For me, the Knight of Wands in a yes/no question would be an affirmative. It would be yes. There is a caveat because he's reversed, however. Typically, with a Knight of Wands reversed, there can be either overthinking or a closed-mindedness that could shut off a full potential or a full opportunity. So my encouragement to everybody would be to look further, think bigger, to imagine that some sort of a previous setback or limitation could this time maybe not even exist, or if there is even an echo of it, that it's going to be easily manageable. Imagine that this will happen faster than you imagine, better than you imagine, and that there might even be some positive surprises attached with it. Keep an open, very open mind, okay? You could be dealing with people in your life that are kind of stuck on a particular way of doing something. And what you'll have to do this month is to work at how can you illuminate and how can you even inspire a different perspective, okay? But ultimately, the Knight of Wands is good. One final note with this is to show how and what you want to do and how you feel, not just say it. So basically, actions are going to speak a lot louder than words. And if you walk the walk, before you talk the talk, people will believe you, but when and if you decide to sort of say what's on your mind, okay? So that's your message for today. Let's take a look at, just want to say thanks to everybody that joined. One last note again, if you haven't yet done it, please consider liking and subscribing. One last note too, I also have a book. It's just come past its 1-year anniversary. If you want to check it out, it's a lot like Dune or Lord of the Rings. You can see an image of it behind me. It's available on my website. My moderator will put in information if you're interested in that. Let me go ahead now and say thanks to everybody that joined. While I'm doing that, a quick schedule note. Let me just talk about what's coming through for the rest of this week. I'll be off tomorrow, but I'll be back on Wednesday and Thursday. And let's see, that should be Capricorn and Aquarius that are next. I'm going to put a link to my schedule so that you have these. I'll also be back on the weekend. So the main difference is that I'm just not working on Thursday. I'm doing Wednesday instead, but the schedule is otherwise the same. So now that I have the schedule in front of me, that means that Capricorn will be Wednesday, Aquarius will be Friday, the collective on Sunday, and then Pisces on Monday. So I'll have those final links out later this week, but I do have Cap and Aquarius on my main page, so you can set a reminder if you'd like to. All right, let me take a moment now to say thanks to the new members that joined, for those that might have even upgraded. I'll take a moment here just to say thank you very much. I want to say thanks to everybody. I know that we're all at different points in our life, and just showing up, honestly, is support enough for you and for me. So thank you so much. But for those that gave back a little bit extra, I do want to also call you out and express some gratitude. So, okay, let's say thank you. We have, let's go to the beginning here. So we have a few people that, one that upgraded, one that rejoined, and one that joined today. So Rebecca, thank you for upgrading to the Star Channel member. I appreciate that. Angela, welcome back. I saw you rejoin and you've been a member for 11 months, so welcome back. And the Icelandic Witch, you just joined today as well. We got a bunch of people that joined yesterday, and I think I called all of them out in the reading yesterday, but if I missed anybody, I think when I joined today, I saw Amber, Micah, and Julie at the top of the list, so I just want to make sure that I said thank you to them. I'm not sure if I said thank you yesterday, but you showed up as new today as well. All right, let me go ahead and say thank you to those of you that were able to give back with Super Chat or Super Stickers. Again, all of it's optional, but I appreciate it. All right, for those of you that did give back today, special thanks to, let's see, is it Dura Wagner? I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you. Sherry Carr. Metaphysical Mike, cool name. Thank you. Dina MAM, thank you and welcome back. I see you here a lot. Yas, thank you as well and welcome back. Susan Adams Waro, thank you. Kendra, Tamilian, Rosemary, Daisy, and Margarita Gordillo, thank you. And much appreciation to all of you. Thank you for the nice messages too. I saw a lot of you expressing gratitude for the time and energy that I put into this. It's my pleasure. And I'm trying to kind of, this is my role. When I was a kid, I thought of being a teacher, and I was kind of talked out of that by some fellow teachers, but ultimately ended up doing some of that here. And so I guess that was part of my path, was to give back a little bit to you guys. So much love and light from me to you. Thanks for showing up today. Looks like you're going to have a great month ahead. And I know for many of you, there are birthdays coming up. So enjoy this period. It looks pretty auspicious. I think there is change, and that's a key piece to this. So again, don't be afraid of change. It feels like all of this change is kind of opening you up for this reveal, for this stepping into the light, for your star or for your diamond moment. Okay? Take care of yourselves. I'll see you again on Wednesday and on Friday. So check out the schedule. I have to think about it myself. So usually it's Thursday and Friday, but this week it's Wednesday and Friday. So I put the schedule there. You can set the reminders and follow me on social media as well. All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you so much. Thanks to Maria Margarita for her help. Have a great one. Okay, bye-bye.